Coming up on Pulse, we got the experts' opinions on the state of the industry at this year's DICE Summit in Las Vegas.
Plus, Naughty Dog's Jason Rubin raised some eyebrows with his impassioned speech at the event.
And has Midway turned its fortunes around? We found out at the company's Gamers Day. That's all coming up right now on Pulse. Welcome to Pulse, your 1 hour weekly look into the world of interactive entertainment. I'm Patrick Clark.
And I'm Ronnie Lynn Riley. Today we'll give you a first look at Acclaim's new street racer, Juiced.
Plus, Kevin Pereira is always looking for a good rumble. We'll see if he's found it in his preview of Fight Night 2004.
But first, it looks like the next Xbox won't have a vital component that the current system does. But will it be missed? Even though the Xbox 2 is likely more than a year away from seeing store shelves, the rumor mill is already in full swing. For example, M Systems president Dov Morin recently stated that Microsoft's next console will not be equipped with an internal hard drive. Instead, Moran claims the Xbox 2 will utilize M Systems fast flash disks, which have storage capacity ranging from 16 megabytes to 47 gigabytes. While it is true that M Systems recently inked a deal to develop removable flash memory units for Microsoft, no specific uses have been confirmed. While Moran's claim seems like a distinct possibility, Microsoft labeled it as merely speculation.
And there's no speculation in Jason Rubin's corner, as he is definitely leaving Naughty Dog Studios after the completion of Jak 3. The announcement came just days after Rubin's impassioned speech at the DICE Summit, in which he demanded greater recognition for developers. Rubin co-founded Naughty Dog with Andy Gavin in 1986 and sold it to Sony in 2001. The company is best known for its Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter series. While Rubin has not publicly announced his plans, he told GameSpot that, quote, "I want to lead by example, take a real risk." Rubin also added he, quote, "wants to build relationships with people outside of this sector." We too had a chance to talk with Rubin at DICE about his speech and his future plans. Stay tuned for it later in the show.
This year's DICE Summit wasn't just for inspirational speeches. They also handed out the 7th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards, which recognized the best in the business in 36 categories. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time took home the most hardware with 8 awards, but Call of Duty took home 2 of the most coveted awards, Game of the Year and Computer Game of the Year. The World War II sim also took home top honors as the Computer First-Person Action Game of the Year.
Of course, the Interactive Achievement Awards are a lot more than just pomp and circumstance. They represent the best of the best in the world of interactive entertainment, and this year's ceremony was no different. We were in Las Vegas to check it out.
The Academy is a nonprofit organization made up of members of our video game industry. The Academy's mission is to elevate the presence of our industry in the mass market, really, by recognizing true art in video games, whether it's technical achievement, artistic achievement, or achievement in design.
The creation of this organization was to recognize that talent and recognize the craftsmanship when it displayed excellence. And that's what created the Academy Awards for Games.
Tonight we're here to celebrate the very best of interactive entertainment.
Outstanding achievement for musical composition, Medal of Honor, Rising Sun.
We continually aim to shoot as high as possible and to have video games sound, bigger and better than films. I mean, we're truly interactive films, and EA can only take credit for the decisions we made. Chris did all the work, and he delivered a score that I feel is unparalleled in any video game in previous history.
Console role-playing game of the year, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
One of the things that caused Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic to stand out was the story, and the story works no matter what the platform is. It works on the PC, works on the console, has a huge impact, really made the game something special. We're really proud of it.
I think our award system protects our craft and fosters more growth within the industry by explaining to people outside the industry that video games really are not just toys for kids.
And the award goes to Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
And the award goes to Prince of Persia, Sands of Time.
What a surprise. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
The Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Well, I'm going to get fired this year. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
It means a great deal because we're saying that the industry is not innovative enough. Dennis and the team, we took the chance and the risk of being innovative, and tonight it pays off. And it's important. Like I said to you tonight, we're only at the beginning of something in the game industry. We gotta continue being innovative.
There's something special about winning an award that is given to you and voted on by the people that actually create the products. As nice as it is to have recognition from the magazines and things like that, there's nothing like your peer going, man, you rock.
The Hall of Fame Award.
Peter Molyneux.
It feels really emotional. I mean, it really does. I mean, you know, you've got to remember that this is absolutely my life. I mean, I do this for pleasure, a total and utter pleasure, and to be rewarded by your peers is an incredible feeling. It really is.
Overall Game of the Year, Call of Duty.
You know, beyond our wildest dreams. The competition for that category, I mean, it's the overall big game hunt right there. I just can't believe it. Just really astounding. And I'm very thankful to the Academy, all the people that put on this work for this show. It's very incredible.
Oh, it's just so it's so gratifying. I mean, the team worked so hard. We had a very short schedule. We had 18 months, and we really just had to crunch the whole time and come together. And it was really great to see that recognized for everyone.
While there's no question that winning an Interactive Achievement Award is a high point for anyone in the industry, we wondered what you think deserves the Game of the Year, which is exactly why we presented that question to gamers in this week's Players' Pulse.
I would say my favorite game has to probably be Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. You get so immersed in the game, and it's so open-ended that you can make so many different choices that the game isn't linear.
This year, my favorite was probably the new Legend of Zelda game for GameCube. That was an excellent game. Great gameplay, great story, just very entertaining all the way through.
I like Tenchu, The Wrath of Haven, because I like all the things that it has that you can do. I like the stealth mode. It's real cool.
Dark Alliance 2, the second of Baldur's Gate for the Xbox. And that's the one I'm playing right now, so I guess I'm partial to it because of that.
Soul Calibur 2, I really like it because it's kick-ass fun, so for real, I mean, I think I play with my friends so much, Soul Calibur 2 is good.
EB Gamer's Choice Award goes to Grand Theft Auto, Vice City.
So many different shows pick different games that, you know, it might stick in my mind a little bit, but I'd probably have to get the corroborating reviews where I would decide on a game from an award show.
I never watch TV, so I'm rarely aware of the fact that there is even awards shows that are on TV, so no, not really.
I'm one of those people, like, when I come and I look at a box, it doesn't really tell me anything, but I have to go to a gaming show or award show to see who's the best, so why not?
In a way, I guess it does, just because if it's a game I haven't played and it's won an award, I probably want to check it out, so it does influence, so it does help a lot.
We hope you enjoy the show. See you next year.
While I try to figure out why Diane Mazzota hosted the Interactive Achievement Awards and I wasn't even invited, you can ponder the EB Games top 10 overall titles for the week. It's Super Mario Bros. 3 disguised as Super Mario Advance 4 on the Game Boy Advance. Either way, it comes in at number 10. It's a Nintendo fantasy. Finally, as Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles for the GameCube winds up at number 9. Swing your sword online in the EverQuest world with this week's number 8, Champions of Norath on the PS2. In the number 7 spot is Samus Aran's original adventure, which makes its GBA debut with Metroid Zero Mission. Release your inner daredevil with this week's number 6 title, the Motocross Mayhem, better known as MX Unleashed for the PS2. James Bond is back once again for more espionage, gadgets, and girls. At number 5 is Everything or Nothing for the Xbox. If you prefer using your fists as weapons, maybe you'd prefer Rise to Honor for the PS2, which kicks its way into the number 4 slot. Dragons? Check. Evil Empire? Check. Fearless Hero? Check. Sounds like an RPG to me. And number 3 is Drakengard for the PS2. It's deja vu all over again. Everything or Nothing takes the number 2 spot, this time on the PS2. And closing out this week's countdown and slashing its way to the top spot, very stealthily, is Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox. Coming up after the break, while I try to figure out if it's a coincidence or intentional, we'll head back to Vegas for more DICE coverage.
Plus, Kevin Pereira will lace up the gloves and go a few rounds with his preview of EA Sports Fight Night 2004. All that and more, only on Pulse. Ninja Gaiden has been well received by critics and consumers alike since it was released in the US earlier this month. With its stunning visual presentation and graphic ninja-style violence, it looks poised to be one of the top titles of the year. But it's a different story in Europe, as some of the aforementioned ninja-style violence is being removed before the game's release. One feature in particular, the ability to decapitate enemies in one fell swoop, won't be present when the game is released in Europe. The change will keep the game from getting the European equivalent of an M rating. It's reported that this was a mutual decision made by Microsoft and Tecmo in order to make the title more sales-friendly.
Gamers have been frothing at the mouth for Doom 3 for close to 3 years. And with the PC version's release supposedly just a month away, the anticipation is reaching a fevered pitch. But it's an Xbox exclusive feature that's generating excitement right now. The Xbox version's developer, Vicarious Visions, recently revealed that Space Marines won't have to go it alone. CEO Karthik Bala said, quote, "We're including new features like co-op play, which requires a tremendous amount of creativity and planning from everyone at VV and id. You may remember that Halo offered a similar gameplay mode when it was released, although it took considerably more effort from the user to get it to work."
While Xbox fans started checking their internet connections and planning vacations around the release of Doom 3, Nintendo was busy downplaying the importance of online gaming. Perrin Kaplan, Nintendo's Executive VP of Corporate Affairs, had this to say on the subject at the DICE Summit.
I think from where we stand, it looks to us like it's still going to be something that's fairly niche for some time. We just have a philosophical difference in also charging people to play. It's just something that, as a company, we're not comfortable with. The wireless that is with Pokemon in Japan that's just launched has done exceedingly well, and I think some of our interest lies in building community that way. So you may see more of that effort than you would with the traditional online, if there is such a thing as traditional online.
Nintendo may not be interested in online games, but it is definitely concerned with the health of gamers. That's because a family in Louisiana has sued Nintendo for failing to properly follow federal consumer protection laws after their son suffered a seizure while playing a Nintendo game. The family actually filed 2 lawsuits, one for personal injury and the other for the violation of federal consumer protection laws. The personal injury suit was settled for an undisclosed sum, but the federal case is ongoing. Testimony will be finished by the end of this month, and the parties will have 45 days to file their arguments. We'll be sure to follow the story and keep you updated.
The video game market is saturated with racing games, so trying to create a game that's unique is quite a challenge. But Acclaim thinks it has a racer that's going to throttle the genre into the future with Juiced, which is this week's first look.
Juiced is a real mix between the arcade style of racing games that you've seen lately with different mods and tricking out your car, and the simulation-based games with all the correct physics and licensed cars that you have in something like a Gran Turismo. You have 3 basic styles of paint you can put on your car. Every different hue that there is, you choose a base, then you can put a different metallic on top of that. Then you can put a different pearlescent on top of that. So when you go online with your car, the possibility of somebody else having the same exact color is pretty much slim to none. We have over 200 manufacturers for licensed parts in the game, and they all have their authentic parts in the game, which is great because you can really make the car you made in the game in real life, but it's going to cost you a lot more than $49.99. You earn respect throughout Juiced a couple of different ways. It's by winning races. It's by winning races with style. If you want to drift around corners, pull 360s, do 180s, boomerangs are really cool, where you flip the car one way and flip it right back the other way. You know, that's how you get your respect points, because people look at you and are like, damn, he can't only win races, but he makes you look like a fool while you're doing it. I mean, that's the essence of Juiced. It's really punking people out and showing them you're the best racer on the street. Juiced will be out in fall 2004 in time for the holidays on PS2, Xbox, and PC, all with online capabilities.
Boxing games have been around since the days of the arcade classic Punch-Out, but none have been as potentially groundbreaking as EA Sports' upcoming Fight Night 2004. Kevin Pereira laced up the gloves and stepped in the ring to go a few rounds with the game in his latest preview.
Since 1998, gamers have been exchanging blows thanks to Electronic Arts and the Knockout Kings franchise. But this year, EA has thrown in the towel on their old ways, and they're about to release a whole new contender.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, entering the ring March 23rd for both the PlayStation 2 and Xbox consoles, featuring 8 electrifying venues, 30-plus boxers, an expanded career mode, and total punch control, the punishing polycarbonate disc of destruction, Fight Night 2004!
Now, before you discount this game because it's just another boxing title, well, hear me out. This is not a mindless button masher or a cel-shaded child's plaything. This, my friends, is a delicious blend of boxing simulation and arcade action. Fight Night's Total Punch Control gives your right thumb some serious authority, as it allows you to execute a wide variety of punches without ever having to touch a face button. The left half of the stick controls the left arm of your boxer, while the right one, well, it controls the right arm. Now, pushing the stick to the upper right will trigger a right jab, and pushing to the left and rolling it up will throw a left hook. It might sound a bit gimmicky, but after a few rounds, you'll be buzzing like a bee, stinging a butterfly. Or something like that. Well, simply put, Total Punch Control works, and when you combine it with the new stamina system, you get a game that allows for a more realistic pace and encourages the use of strategy. But that's certainly not all the innovation that Fight Night brings to the squared circle. It's time to say goodbye to canned animations and hello to physics-based knockdowns. They're here, and they are good. Now, don't think for 1 minute that getting up from a knockdown is going to be some walk in the park. Once you're sprawled out on the canvas, you'll be introduced to a pair of blurry referees. Using the left and right analog sticks, you've got to make your character realize that there's really only one of them. Now, this innovative minigame is a breath of fresh air to the boxing genre, and it really adds to the overall tension of the match.
That was a deadly knockout!
The Create a Boxer mode has added depth and is more refined. You can now train your custom character in between matches, increase his stats RPG style, and even unlock the colored mouthpiece that you need to match your protective guard. Oh, and did I forget to mention online multiplayer? Yeah, if you're a PlayStation 2 owner, it's in the game. So while we deduct a point from the scorecard for the Xbox low blow, we also have to give out a few warnings. The knockouts are glitchy at times, the headbutts feel a little over the top, and I really wish they'd find someone other than a Chris Rock impersonator for the play-by-play.
A nickel on the dime. Some fast hands.
Now, these are the type of nitpicks that can easily be ironed out by the time this bad boy ships. Overall, Fight Night 2004 clearly deserves the name change, as it one-ups its forefathers in every way imaginable. The player models and texture work are top-notch. The level of customization is ridiculous, and the new physics system provides a brutal sense of force behind each blow. Now, this just could be the title that does for boxing what Madden did for football, but we'll have to wait and see when Fight Night 2004 enters the retail ring on March 23rd.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is over.
Remember, if you've got something to say to the man who is pound for pound the best previewer in the business, head to the message boards and look for Captain Emmy. There's more to come on this edition of Pulse. After the break, is an M rating a good thing? Midway seems to think so. We'll see what they were showing off at their Gamers Day.
Plus, he didn't exactly go on the rug, but this naughty dog had quite a bark at this year's DICE Summit. That's coming up only on Pulse. While Nintendo has recently reported a big jump in GameCube sales, several publishers have expressed concern over the financial viability of supporting it. And rumors are circulating that Midway has decided to stop supporting the GameCube with all of its future titles. But according to Midway PR manager Natalie Saltzman, this is not the case. She said that, quote, "We're still evaluating our products and will publish on GameCube where it makes sense." So Nintendo fans will still be able to get their NFL Blitz Pro fix, but Saltzman confirmed that the next installment in the Mortal Kombat series will not make its way to Nintendo's console. This news comes as a major blow to GameCubers, or is it a fatality?
Midway is best known for its arcade-style games, from over-the-top sports to the aforementioned Mortal Kombat series. But in a move to broaden its appeal, the company is branching out into more immersive titles. One such game is Psyops, and we got a chance to get a closer look.
Okay, he's no Boy Scout, but Nick Scryer is MindGame's best.
Psyops
maps is a lot of fun. You can just sort of do things that, game mechanics that you've never ever been able to do before in a game.
The coolest things about the game is that we combine a pretty new and innovative game feature into a genre that's getting a bit tired. So the ability of adding traditional weapons and the psionic powers, it's a great combination. It gives you a familiarity of weapons, but these cool new powers to use on all the different enemies.
We have a number of psi powers. A really popular one is telekinesis. It allows you to pick up objects or people and throw them around and bash them. So when you throw an object like an explosive barrel or something, it reacts very realistically. You throw that into a group of enemies, it'll blow up and they'll all fly in the air in ragdoll physics. We also have another psychic power called pyrokinesis, where you can throw walls of flame and light things on fire. And if you have, say, a series of flammable objects next to each other, if you light one of them, it'll slowly light all the others on fire. The fire will actually propagate through them. We have Mind Drain. This is actually how you replenish your psychic powers. You can Mind Drain a dead person and get some psychic power back, or you can Mind Drain a live person and get a lot more psychic power, but it's harder to do because it's a stealth kill. We have remote viewing, where you actually go out of body and you can go and look into other areas, like say a closed door. You can go to the door and look at what's in that next room. You can see if there's an ambush or a trap. Another power that we have is called mind control. This is a really cool power because you actually take over the body of an enemy. So you may be a room with 3 enemies in it and they're ready to ambush you. You could actually mind control one of them, go over and take out the other guys, and they won't realize that that guy's been mind controlled until you start attacking them.
It opens up a huge new realm of gameplay with the way that we've set it up, is that it's almost infinite ways to get by every situation in the game. Depending on what power you wanted to use, how you use them, there's so many different combinations that the open-endedness of the gameplay is really a lot of fun.
And that's really one of the more amazing elements of the game. Because you can come into a situation and do so many different things and approach it in so many different ways, it's really amazing to watch other people play it, because you're like, wow, I'd never think of doing that. So, I may come into a room and there's 3 guys and I'll use telekinesis and throw them around. Another person will use mind control. Another person will stealth in and try to do stealth kills on them. So any given situation, any given puzzle, there's usually multiple ways to do it, which just gives the game like a depth that it's hard to quantify.
Fire in the hole! It was one of the issues in designing the game, that what you could do is just so incredibly powerful that coming up with level designs that didn't let you just sort of walk through and just flat all the enemies against the wall. I mean, it was a real challenge. There were a lot of new game design problems to solve for that game. It was very exciting.
We are using the Havoc physics engine. It's a great engine. We've worked very closely with Havoc to integrate it so we have very realistic physics. We have constrained physics, where you have, say, a chain with a big ball on the end of it, and you can throw that around and it'll swing and smack into guys. Havoc's great. It allows us to do a lot of very realistic events in the game, and the things that just would happen naturally in the real world if you happen to have telekinesis.
People are pretty amazed of all the things that you can do, and the fact that we're running on a PS2 with the physics that we have in the game. We're pushing it every single day, trying to squeeze as much power as we can out of it. But I think we've really taken it farther than a lot of games that I've seen in the physics realm.
PsyOps is just the tip of the iceberg in Midway's stable of upcoming titles. At their recent Gamers Day, we got a look at what else they've got coming your way in the near future.
We're at Midway's Gamers Day, where we show all our products that are coming up for 2004. Give a chance for the press to play all the games a little more in depth and without all the distractions that you have at an E3 show.
Area 51 is a first-person shooter based upon a classic coin-op game that we did as Midway in the early 90s. And it's set in a top-secret military installation, and you play a hazmat specialist that's come in to clean up a chemical spill, and you find that things are far more sinister than that.
Creature! That was a damn alien.
But what I'm excited about most is really being able to synthesize the immersive storytelling type gameplay with the real hardcore fragfest moments. The real challenge is fulfilling the expectations of the imagination of the consumer, because when people think of Area 51, they have a lot of things that pop into their head, and we've really had a lot of fun fulfilling what we think is a collective fantasy on the part of everyone. And the engine that's being used for Area 51 is totally proprietary to Midway. All of our physics are proprietary, full real-time physics, and we think we're doing things on the PS2 that nobody's really done before, and the net result is, we think, to be one of the most innovative first-person shooters in the marketplace.
The Suffering really for us is a very sort of immersive action horror game. So what I think we're doing with this game is sort of evolving the traditional survival horror and putting sort of American action slant on it. One of the most compelling parts about the game is the moral choice system that we have in the game. We wanted to sort of give the player the choice in his actions in terms of, are you going to kill a guard, or are you going to work with a guard? And those sort of moral choices affect the outcome of the game. And some of the cool features that we've added to support high-end home entertainment systems are progressive scan and widescreen for HDTV on the Xbox, and then surround sound. One of probably the coolest things I think in the game is the sound. We put actually a spline on some of our sounds that will spin around the character and hence spin around your speaker system, and some really creepy sounds that if you're playing in the dark, scare the living bejesus out of you.
The Suffering.
NBA Ballers is going to blow people away. Right from the beginning on this game, people were skeptical. One-on-one, Mark, what are you thinking? What are you going to do? How are you going to overcome the lack of passing and this and that? So it's been a long haul and a tough nut to crack, but we totally nailed it. The thing that everybody is going to hit on with this game is that the graphics are stunning. The player models, their faces, the textures are just so far superior to any other sports game, basketball, football, no matter what. And it's clearly because we were able to focus just on 1, 2, or 3 guys on the screen at once. So our performance is really pumped up on a per-player basis. Active Full is great. Basically, it's kind of like a throw move in Mortal Kombat. You get a hold of the guy, you throw him out of the way. And so sometimes it's between the legs, sometimes it's the ball around the back, sometimes it's kicking the ball between his legs, and it really kind of insults your opponent, makes him feel like a fool.
Today I'm showing MLB Slugfest Loaded with all its new features we've got this year. We've got, online for PS2, Xbox Live. We've got new franchise mode with baseball mogul integration, as well as tons of over-the-top new animations, new moves, trick pitches, pitching meters, all kinds of great stuff. Originally we had this ticker tape, we wanted more of a broadcast feel of the game. We're watching different sports news stations, and we're noticing the ticker. We had been talking to the MLB and MLB.com about getting their stats, and sure enough, when we worked out with the MLB.com into our contract that they'll supply us kind of minute by minute these streamlined data files that we'll be able to bring into the game.
I think the style of Midway games, which fits in exactly with the Suffering, Area 51 styles, more mature, socially relevant sort of content, things that are in popular culture and are on people's minds, will really help propel Midway to be, a real top-tier publisher in the future.
Coming up after the break, we've got more DICE coverage from Las Vegas, including some big names on the next big thing.
Plus, Sammy Studios is bringing a classic Japanese movie to the PlayStation 2. We'll check out 7 Samurai 20XX. All that and more, only on Pulse.
The DICE Summit may be more low-key than, say, E3, but it's no less important. It's rare that you get so many industry leaders at one event, so we took full advantage of the situation and talked to several of them to get their take on the state of the industry.
When you're in an industry that's cutting edge and growing as fast as games are, how do you come together and talk about the industry, right? How do you get different perspectives? It's so easy to get tunnel vision on your specific project, your specific genre, your specific game. How do you come together and actually break out of that and look at the whole thing? And DICE is an excellent forum to be able to do that.
For the business to move forward, people are going to have to be really innovative. And really, this is the best place to find the innovative ideas, because you got so many of the top minds who are really going to have the next big thing. They're all right here. That's what it's about. Like, who's going to make the next, Grand Theft Auto in terms of offering a totally new experience? Who's going to make the next Eco, which is just such a beautiful game that it's almost like art. I mean, these are the things that are going to push the industry forward.
innovation is one of those things that if the public wants it, the games that have innovation will sell. Grand Theft Auto, extraordinarily innovative, great game, it's sold. You know, and there are some games that come out that are innovative that don't sell. Eco came out recently, it was a PlayStation 2 game. But I think, you know, overall, great games rise to the top, innovative or not, and, you know, whatever the public wants, they'll buy.
Every 5 or 6 years, I think we go through a transformation. I think the new consoles are going to cause us, or really force us to rethink our game development process, because we really don't know exactly what they're going to look like yet, but we assume they're going to be much more powerful, they're going to be more complicated, and demand a change in our team structure. So that means looking at our hiring practices, looking at our team makeup, and kind of turning the industry on its head.
How do you create new intellectual properties? How do you create new great games, but also cut through the shelf when you're up against titles that are demanding the airwaves, like Lord of the Rings? And the publishers have every right to be concerned and pushing that creative front and being the first out of the gate, but it has to happen because the medium's too important, and there's too many creative people in the medium. And so if we as creatives really do our job right, we should be able to convince the industry and the publishers that it's worth pushing these new IPs out there so that the innovation is really accelerating upward and not stagnating because of sequel.
It's harder and harder to innovate. It's harder and harder to take the leap of faith because, you know, we've just seen this progression where production values are very high, expectations are very high, the rewards are very high, but God, are you willing to step up to the plate and take a swing?
I think it's always easy to take risks creatively, but you know when you look at the market pressures or the reality of you know a publicly traded company, you've got to have quarterly earnings announcements. You always got to continue to grow, and I think that it's a challenge to be able to grow and also continue to innovate and change the way things are done, or to offer people new experiences. That's always a risk and always a challenge.
A few years ago, an average budget for one of our games might have been a couple of $1 million. You're seeing $10 million dev budgets left and right. It's totally common. So we're starting to approach the Hollywood-style budgets. People are expecting Hollywood-quality cinematics, Hollywood-quality voice acting, Hollywood-quality story, but also the highest production levels possible. So you're seeing larger teams, larger budgets, and also we're working closer hand in hand with the movie studios at the same time, and you know, really synergistic relationship with Hollywood.
I think it's going to be increasingly hard for the little guy to compete, but I think the little guy still has a place as long as he's smart and as long as he does something that the big guy possibly can't do, such as, you know, have a very iterative design process, change how they're doing things quickly, and come in under the radar with, you know, boutique titles that wind up catching fire and wind up, you know, winning the public over.
One of the ways that we actually really do believe that we can help the market grow and expand is by story and character. I mean, you think about movies, and that's really what drives a medium like movies. It drives books, it drives television. It's all about the stories and the characters. And if you can make great and approachable stories and characters, you're going to be able to expand the audience.
Take-Two Interactive, the publisher behind such blockbusters as the Grand Theft Auto and Max Payne series, has added another popular franchise to its roster. The company has secured the rights to the Outlaw series of over-the-top sports titles from Simon & Schuster Interactive. Viacom, which owns Simon & Schuster, announced in September of last year that it was planning to sell the game branch of the company. But when no buyers came forward, Simon & Schuster Interactive closed its doors. Take-Two has announced that Hypnotics is still developing Outlaw Golf 2, which is set for release in the fourth quarter of this year.
Anyone who's played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic will tell you it was one of the deepest games they've ever played. But gamers are a demanding bunch, and Xbox gamers in particular have been wondering why there hasn't been any new KOTOR content released via Xbox Live. Well, wonder no more, young Jedi. Xbox Live users can now download a new Yavin 4 space station area, along with a brief quest and a new store that features character and lightsaber upgrades. LucasArts has yet to officially announce the content, but it is currently available to anyone with access to Xbox Live.
Whether you're a fan of influential cinema, ancient martial arts, or you just like guys who wield big swords, then you're familiar with Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. And now Sammy Studios is introducing a new generation to its own version of the film with a video game.
This is Seven Samurai 20XX. It's basically a futuristic reinterpretation of Akira Kurosawa's masterpiece, Seven Samurai. The original Seven Samurai movie has been used and has been copied and reinterpreted in very many different kinds of settings, such as the Magnificent Seven, which is a prime example of taking the original Seven Samurai into a completely different Western setting. We wanted to expand the imagination that is somehow limited in the original movie, but we wanted to take in a futuristic setting, so that's why we decided to go for it. You will assume a role of Nato, and he is basically Ronin, samurai traveling through different futuristic cities. And similar to the original movie, he is hired to protect this particular village of humans, which is under attack by an army of vicious cyborgs called the humanoids. And in this futuristic world, humans are no longer a majority. They're the minorities that are hunted down by these machines. And he quickly realizes that he will not be able to even have a chance to defend them because of the sheer size of the army that he has to fight against. So he will travel around in an attempt to recruit 6 other samurais, and they will take the last stance against the enemies. You will start out the battle with just single katana. However, quickly you will be able to pull both of your katanas out. And once you pull that out, the game will completely change. The pace of action will dramatically increase. The particle effects and explosions will instantly transform the game. When your character's strength improves stage after stage, you will eventually be able to pull out over 15 very powerful, devastating attack combos.
If Seven Samurai 20XX has piqued your interest, be sure to tune in next week when we'll take a tour of Sammy Studios' new Carlsbad offices and get an early look at their next game, Dark Watch.
There's still even more to come on this edition of Pulse. After the break, we've got the details on how IDOS found a new way to make even more money from the Hitman series.
Plus, we'll talk to Jason Rubin about what he said and why he said it at this year's DICE Summit. All that and more only on Pulse.
IDOS is probably best known as the publisher of the Tomb Raider series, but the company has had several other successful franchises from Gex to Deus Ex. And the brass at IDOS have added another popular series to its roster with the purchase of Denmark-based IO Interactive. The acquisition gives IDOS the rights to 2 franchises, Freedom Fighters and Hitman. While IDOS is already the publisher of the Hitman series, the deal assures that the company will reap the benefits of all profits from the game. Previously, IDOS paid a royalty to IO Interactive for every Hitman game sold. The next game in the series, Hitman Contracts, is due out next month.
At the recently concluded DICE Summit, Naughty Dog's Jason Rubin gave a speech that even Jerry Maguire would be proud of. Rubin called for publishers to give developers more respect and recognition, a plea that garnered a standing ovation from the audience. Jason took a few moments the day after the speech to help us understand why he spoke out and what it means for the industry as a whole.
We're here at DICE, which is a show that the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences throws. The charter of the Academy is to elevate the art form of making games. So I took that very literally and looked at the industry and looked at where game developers are. And what I realized is that although most people know who makes the movie they watch or who writes the book they read, they generally don't know who makes video games. And I think that this is a tragedy in our industry, and I think that it's about time that the public, that the gamer, gets an idea of who's behind the product they're making.
Gamers are getting ripped off by inexplicable broken brand promises. If you don't tell them that Crash Bandicoot was done and created by Naughty Dog, and you don't put that out there, when the brand changes, they're caught blindsided.
The single biggest factor in whether or not a gamer's going to like the game or not is who put it together. It's the artist that put it together that's going to make a difference. And that's what my talk was about. The publishers are not interested in putting the game director personalities forward because they feel that that's a threat to their brand.
It's obvious why in our industry, the PR and marketing department try to separate themselves out and they try to go directly to celebrities in Hollywood. It keeps them in charge. It keeps the power with them. Which brings me to Tara Reid. Tara Reid apparently as a future game developer, best I can tell. In 2003, SCA threw 4 parties for her and her friends at the Hamptons. PS2 second anniversary, which, I don't know, I sold a lot of games. I didn't even know it existed until afterwards. We got one catch-all party at E3. Hollywood can't get away with disrespecting their talent like that. They simply can't do it.
There's significant value in celebrities. I believe there's a value in Tara Reid. I did not give a speech that was anti-Tara Reid. I would love to put Tara Reid in a game that I do. And I don't just mean a voiceover. I think what you're going to see in the future is literally a digital version of these celebrities inside the game. And I think if you look at Jet Li in Rise to Honor, you're seeing the beginning of that. And that really is Jet Li you're playing. And it's as well done as a Jet Li movie. And I think that's the direction that we should go with celebrity. We're very used to just assuming the game industry is an island. It's really not. And we have to start thinking of ourselves as a member of a greater entertainment community and to mesh in better with the entertainment community.
We got to accept the fact that this is going to be a riskier industry in the future, and we got to accept the fact that we are going to need to take more of the Hollywood model. Agents are an opportunity for us, and that agent is in the business of helping. And when an agent goes into a publisher and he says, you know, on behalf of my client, I have to say, we're going to have to get our names on the back of the box because my clients understand they're the best, they have value, and they need to get that out there. Why does it matter if I don't get invited to a party? Why does all of this matter? I mean, does it really matter if we got our name on the box? Well, Kojima did. Kojima was also Newsweek's trendsetter, opinion maker, and People to Watch 2002. And if you really don't think that there's a connection there, you're missing the point. As long as the publishers can blur who's responsible for the success of our products, it's impossible to assess the true value of the contributors.
I feel that the time is right for the industry to start respecting and start publicizing the talent that is creating the games that are making this industry possible. And I do believe that now is the time for us to change. And I hope my talk, as revolutionary as it sounds, will eventually someday be considered a logical turning point for the industry.
In game announcements, Digital Extremes has officially announced Pariah for the Xbox and PC. Little is known about the game other than it's a first-person shooter, but it's worth noting that Digital Extremes is the developer behind Unreal and Unreal Championship. More information will be released at this year's E3 in May.
In new releases, if you love the smell of napalm in the morning, EA has the game for you. Battlefield Vietnam takes the massively multiplayer concept to Southeast Asia, where you'll find Hueys, F-4 jets, and humidity, lots of humidity, as you engage in warfare 1960 style. Battlefield Vietnam is available for the PC on March 15th.
New game modes, never-before-seen weapons, and for the first time, vehicles can be found in Unreal Tournament 2004. The game ships with 20 new maps along with all the original UT 2003 maps. Unreal Tournament 2004 comes to the PC on March 15th.
From the jungles of Vietnam to the jungles of South America comes Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Jungle Storm, where players will find 16 intense single-player missions and a robust online multiplayer mode. The game also features voice recognition technology, which allows players to give orders to AI teammates through a headset. Jungle Storm comes to the PS2 on March 15th. That's all for today's edition of the show. We want to hear what you've got to say, so remember to log on to our website at g4tv.com/pulse and send us an email or post your thoughts under the Pulse is Listening thread on the message boards.
Before we head out today, we'd like to extend our congratulations to a certain senior console editor of a major gaming website who was so inspired by Jason Rubin's speech at DICE that he went out and got married before leaving Las Vegas.
Congratulations, Raymond, and best of luck. For Patrick Clark, I'm Ronnie Lynn Riley. We'll see you next week on Pulse.